declawed. But his puns all get better, the women get wetter, and all he can do is applaud. King Declawed. Gonna rock it now, gonna rock it now, by Jack Sandarelia, Jack Sandarelia. Gonna rock it now, gonna rock it now, rock it, Jack Sandarelia, T-Force. Welcome to the rework of the T-Force, now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and casts from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game, give it to you easy like you're Resi in the bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time, now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier, knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall, get on the chat call, can a podcast really be all that? Of course, how do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. You're watching episode number 189. I am trying to tweet out that we're live. Listener question show. Come see if your question is answered.
Really?
So,
the listener question show.
Dom is here.
Because I look at the document and I see 4 questions.
I have questions that I will just find a way to bring in here that I'd have to go. I'd have to go get the laptop stream.trinityforcepodcast.com. Tweet if you are watching live. Go retweet that. I just sent it out. Hopefully it's all right. So that is that, guys. Declawed's here. Sean's here. Chira's here. Baby watch hour, week and a half. Still no baby.
I'm glad I'm here twice.
But I won't be here Wednesday because that's the day they're inducing. So.
Oh, okay. That's it. Then he won't be here Wednesday. And and apparently Days Untold comes September 8th, I believe. That is a Monday, right? That's what we said. Yes, September 8th.
I'll be off that episode.
We will have 5 people on that episode. We'll have 5 people on the podcast from now on. We've been talking about it for 2 months. It's because she was supposed to be on over a month ago. We're bringing 5 people on to be able to have a better flexible schedule, bring more people, or have people rotate around based on school or work or life. Declawed, obviously, becoming a father, may have to take some Wednesdays off or Mondays. And not to mention, we have a lot going on, a lot in the background at Trinity Force. Trinity Force is taking one step forward for you guys today, and you all be very happy with the products that we will be bringing forward from this point on. So, not to be too vague, but I'm not going to step into the details. Anyway, guys, go check out Battle Arena. That goes live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You get the Australian Battle Arena, the U.S. Battle Arena, well, Oceanic and U.S. You also get Bronze Boot Camp on Saturdays. We talk a lot about how to get better at this game. Go play the Battle Arenas. The guys break down every step that every step that you take, every move that you make. They are watching you.
Well said.
I'm going to give you that one. Yeah,
I am too. I was going to say something about us leaving with Battle Arena, going to the Oceanic scene. We're leaving our legacy there too, but now that absolutely has no place. You totally blew me out of the water before I even had a chance. Good job.
Off the top of my head, too.
Well said. And just to clarify, I should be rather consistent on my podcast days with Syndra. Just because of the way things are arranged, I can move 2 hours out of the week. Right. Now I'm saying this, and I'm going to shoot myself in the foot because later on I'm going to be like, I can't make it, guys. Or you're going to hear her screaming in the background. But whatever the case may be. And by the way, Monday, the 8th, when Days comes on, my New York Giants are playing the Lions. Monday Night Football, their first game. So I'm missing that for the podcast.
Well, good.
So you appreciate
what a sacrifice.
Yeah, wow.
None of you watch.
So if you guys want more information about Battle Arena, go to trinityforcepodcast.com. There's a link on the very top. It says click here. All the times are there. Don't forget to go check out the Journey to 30. It goes live every Wednesday on the same channel, twitch.tv/tforcepodcast. Ask Harishan and Snagglewolf take care of that. And they are guiding you all the way to 30.
I'm apparently going to be on the show eventually, too. So go look at it just to see me because I'm cute.
They wanted me on one day, but they couldn't get a hold of me.
Yeah.
I was odd. Apparently, I was the only one with a downvote.
Next Wednesday?
I don't know when. They're going to put me on something.
They got you waiting in the wings. Nice.
Yep.
So that's it, guys. We're going to jump into listener questions. Because I am an awful host, I only have 4 in the document, so there might be typing in here later while I go find some.
We don't want to talk champion picks during NALCS playoffs?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm not chit-chatting about the NALCS playoff because
take it away.
Don, you tried.
Sunday podcast, right?
What was that, Sean?
Yeah, more or less.
tried.
More
You
or less,
tried real hard.
I'm taking away ammunition from the Sunday podcast, and I don't really want
Well,
to talk about.
they don't really talk champions that much.
Yeah,
Good point.
I don't have anything to say about any of these NA games. Dom tried to talk to me earlier. I have
It's
nothing to say.
sort of
Like,
an
it's
question in
nothing
that
is
format.
good.
I thought Sean would want to talk about Olaf.
Yeah, Olaf got picked.
No, because Olaf built a frozen mallet. We're not talking about it. We're moving into listener
Olaf
questions.
Didn't build
Did
a
you see my
frozen
Yes, he did.
mallet.
Yes, he
did
did.
build a frozen mallet.
did?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
He
he
did.
did great for a
He
while.
did fine.
Did you see my face one tweet that I sent for you
Yeah,
when it happened?
Everybody, you know how many tweets I got
Was-
when Frozen Mallet was built? Do you
Yeah.
know how many tweets I got? I had at least 15 tweets in my timeline.
I was about to
Don't
say,
tell
like, 3 or 4.
Potophobia he built a Frozen Mallet.
Well, hey, in your defense, they did lose.
I know.
Well, you know what? And
Spoiler alert.
it was one of those with Bill Murray where it's like, Adam's face when he sees Olaf top lane is picked, and then it's like a half smile, and then when Frozen Mallet was built, then he gets all sad.
And then
So.
Kamali was like, "You have to trust me on this. It's a good build." And I'm just like, all I said was, "Nope, it's not." And that's where the conversation ended because he knew he couldn't argue with me, and I knew I couldn't argue with him. So it would have been like last night with lots of screaming. But I need to go get the laptop, so you're going to see me walk away in my shorts and my awesome top. So let's jump into Volcano's techie question, and on Dom, read it. Go.
That guy never
Volcano
sends.
Techie writes, for the 100 millionth time, he writes, what are some advanced items that can be purchased without the intent to upgrade them to a completed item?
You mean just never have the intent?
I guess, I don't know, I think the spirit behind the item is, what is an advanced type item that I can buy and then just sit on for a really long time without rushing to the next tier for it?
Haunting guys.
Yeah, and then it's like that's Haunting Guys and Brutalizer, and even then Brutalizer, you probably just went ahead to the next. I mean, unless you're gonna get a Black
Not upgrade
Cleaver,
them, yeah.
that Cleaver you don't really need to rush the upgrade on, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, Haunting Guys is really the only one that comes to mind.
Tiamat, like a really good one. Tiamat's
Oh,
a really good
Tiamat's
one to
pretty
pick
good.
up and,
Yeah,
and not finish because you don't need to spend that extra money on the lifesteal portion of it because you're just sitting on an item that takes too long. It's an extra 900 gold total after you upgrade it, 925 maybe.
I mean, in
That
theory,
could have been purchased to get a Giant's Belt or something similar.
in theory, you could get something like an Avarice Blade if that fits into your build otherwise anyway, and then sit on that for a long time to milk out the extra gold. But
Good point.
even then, I mean that item's not that great on its own. Like you're just conceding that you're playing the long game at that point.
Yeah, and then stuff that you can hold on to for a while. I guess a Tear and a Sheen, because you're getting the effects that you need out of them before you have to build them into their respective items. But you will intend to build them. So
I mean that there are really only a few examples of this. Is that indicative of a problem within the itemization? There are just not a lot of compelling sort of mid-level items to just hold on to for a while.
You can a number of the Sightstone is one that you can sit on because you'll just sit on that forever.
Does that count?
I was gonna say there's a lot of support items though
No.
that you can buy a upgrade piece of it somewhere and sit on it because you don't need to finish off like or you can sit on Frostfang for a while. You can sit on the second tier Targon's Embrace. I was gonna say I kept
Targon's
saying
Embrace.
Relish Shield. Yeah, you could sit on a lot of those pieces.
I mean, the only one you don't
piece
want to
of the
sit
game.
on is the Nomad's Medallion. You want to get the Talisman as soon as you can because that, like, if you're going that route, you want Talisman as quick as you can get it because that active is superior to the other
Really
two.
good.
Like, no matter how, like, a lot of people really do like the Frost Queen's Claim active, and it is good, but Talisman's active is superior in every circumstance.
There's a lot of times. See, I don't like people sitting on items. Like I asked Arishan for the other day. He was playing Gnar and he sat on a Cutlass, Sheen, and Phage, and he told me this is all I could buy. And my argument is, well, why don't you just work toward finishing your big item? Because the money you spent on those two little items could have finished off your Blade of the Ruin King, which gives you potentially more. Well, it does give you more mobility, but it also gives you more sustainability and more damage than the other two.
So to a degree, that goes against advice we've given in the past, which is buy what you can afford. Now, in this case, Blade of the Ruin King still has daggers around it that he could have purchased instead of the Sheen or the other item that wasn't Cutlass. And then that would have eventually gotten them to the the Blade of the Ruined King, but it's still a case where sometimes you buy what you can afford.
I understand that, and I get it. Some people will sit on Cutlass for a while on the top lane. You'll see maybe a Renekton or somebody will sit on Cutlass for a little bit if he has to.
There's
do
a
it
lot of
defensively.
people that can sit on Cutlass. Like Jax could sit on Cutlass and then finish a Sheen into a T-Force if he wanted to. There's a bunch of champions that could do it easy, no problem.
That was when Voyboy was a top laner, and even then, as far as this goes, I'm talking like in season 2 here. He used to say that one of his favorite items was the Bilgewater Cutlass, even though it only built into Gunblade at that time, because just like it offered an insane amount of lifesteal on it. It was it actually had more lifesteal base than Bloodthirster did, because they nerfed everything except for the Cutlass for some reason. And so he used to really like getting that item on certain champions, even though he knew it had no upgrade path, because the active on it was good, and then it gave nice stats for a mid game like power spike.
Well,
type of thing.
it helped your
And
trade
then you just
potential
sold
in
it,
lane.
and then you just sold it late.
Great. It was just a fantastic item, even if it didn't translate into something that great. But
It's so easy to get.
yeah, very, very. It's very, very cheap for what it does.
All right.
I don't know. I do think they could stand to have. I mean, we've complained about it a lot, but just to have better kind of step itemization options to be a little bit more versatile. Frankly, I wouldn't be upset to see them have kind of different recipe paths get to the same big item, instead of have it just sort of to tailor it to
An
different
interesting idea.
champions, really. But, I mean, I think that would be exceedingly complex to accomplish and would probably end up confusing more players than it would help.
And there'd have to be wasted stats somewhere for somebody.
Yeah.
Forbidden Idol's another one you can kind of sit on for a little bit, too.
Isn't that mana and movement speed?
Yes.
Or is
I
that
believe
ability
so.
power movement speed?
It
Mana
builds
regen.
towards...
Mana regen, I meant.
It's definitely... Yeah, it's mana regen and cooldown reduction.
Oh, that's not the one I like then. I mean, it's good. Cooldown reduction is always good and everything. The problem, I
You're
don't know.
thinking of the Arden or the Aether Wisp,
Yeah, I
which
like
is
the
ability
Aether Wisp
power
more.
movement speed.
I like the Aether Wisp more. It's harder to get because there are fewer items that really build out of it. The cooldown reduction on Forbidden Idol is nice, but by the time you're usually getting that one, it's already mid-game. And so you're you're buying it for cooldown reduction, and you're more or less wasting the mana regen, at least
Because
in
by
my
then
experience.
you should have taken care of your mana regen problem.
Yeah, by then you
That's what I
already
mean.
have a lot of it.
I think
Unless you get it first and sit on it.
I mean, the exception is if you're getting Talisman, but...
kind of moving to a different... Vamp Scepter is probably the only other item that I wouldn't mind somebody buying and sitting on for a while because lifesteal's great. Doran's Blades are another one we never talked about the Doran's items, but we've talked about buying 3 or 4 of those in the beginning of the game if you have to. And those are great to sit on for a while because they scale very well into the mid-game.
Who have
Well,
you been
they're-
playing where you
They help you catch
build
up.
like 3 Doran's rings and then straight into like you're back to it was like the season 1 meta where you built 3 Doran's rings and then went to a death cap.
Anybody can do it.
Yep.
Yeah, but you were doing it on someone specific. I just don't remember who.
I don't play any mids. I've only been playing AD carry recently.
I don't
And
remember.
then
who.
even then,
Was
I'm
it-
not building...
Was it Lysandra top?
I did do that. I went 3 Dorans into Deathfire Grasp. Or 3...
Yeah, I could see that. The double Dorans or triple Dorans isn't uncommon on Lysandra, so I could see that.
It was a
definitely
while
working.
ago that this
Yeah.
came out, so I don't remember.
It's not something you're going to see a lot of people do because Chalice is still such a good... I mean, even though I got nerfed, it's still such a good item to sit on the middle lane. But you're really building it on people who... Lysandra is a good candidate for it because she doesn't necessarily need the Chalice in the middle lane. The extra health and... She has a free ability every 12 seconds, or is it 13 seconds? So she can pretty much clear a wave for free every 2 waves. And she gains enough mana back in between that by killing creeps with the Dorans that she's like one of those perfect candidates to be able to pick it up. Somebody like Nidalee could actually run 3 Doran's Blades if she wanted to in the top lane. It's usually not conducive to do it, but if you feel like there's a point in mid game where they can duel you, having that extra 200-300 life can help you out.
Nidalee's definitely a good pick for that. Aurelia is another huge example.
Right. It's anybody that you can dominate early with, or you need to survive early with, and then the mid game you can turn it around. And that goes for either taking the damage or dealing the damage. But if having that extra life means you win a trade, you've paid for the Doran's in itself. So I think that's that for that question. We'll go ahead and move on to Blues Fiddler here. He writes, "Do you have any tips for landing skill shots when players know how to deal with them?"
So that's something that
Tricks,
the high
maybe, for
elo
outsmarting them?
and like the high level players always come, like, you have to
Predict.
no like you have to like basically play like you're bad at the game as far as predicting
Right.
skill shots goes, because like you have to, they're
You
going
have
to
to
expect
outline
you to
game
move.
them.
Yeah, I mean, like, because when you start to get proficient with skill shots, you tend to be able to predict where somebody is going to go. And so once you get to the level where people are predicting where you're going to be going, like, you have to start playing like you don't know what you're doing. I actually miss a lot of skill shots against lower elo players because they don't do what I expect them to do. Like the situation would call for them to dodge a certain direction, and so I aimed my skill shot that way, and then they just stood still, and that's what totally threw me off.
And a relevant example of this would be Adam's Quinn game into Optimus Tom playing Varys, where Varys powers up his shot to shoot Adam in the face, and he stands still, and Tom misses the fuck out of him. And then Adam kills
that's
him
what lost it for Tom.
with like 40 health.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's really if you're trying to dodge them, you have to. You can't do what they're going to expect you to. Like, whatever your instincts at that point are telling you to do, you have to do the opposite of that almost. And then once people start learning how to deal with them, you just have to really pay attention to the habits of the player before you start just sort of recklessly throwing skill shots around so that you can actually make them meaningful.
I really like using, or what helps me to hit skill shots and what has improved my skill shot game is, one, all that information we just discussed, but also using normal cast for skill shots. You might do smart cast indicators. I use shift click for normal cast. With Ezra with his Q, I can weave that in between. I do that with a lot of the characters, like Thresh and Blitz. I don't smart cast their hooks a number of times, especially in lane. I normal cast their hooks in lane, and I normal cast a lot of their abilities now because of that reason. It's easier for me to hit skill shots if I can see the exact width and range that the skill shot is going to go.
Depending on the champion, I will intentionally miss skill shots just to like give them a false sense of security. Like if the skill shot is reasonably low, like modestly low cooldown, I will intentionally miss stuff just to make them play a little bit more recklessly, and then I can hit them when it actually matters.
That's an interesting strategy. Bold strategy, Cotton. I like it.
Thanks, God.
Now, also, you can kind of telegraph a skill shot by your movements. You know, if you get yourself into, you're going to move around outside the minions if you have a skill shot that can't go through minions, and you can kind of make them, you know where they're going to move if you know they're good, like your question implies, to get away from the skill shot. So maybe you can use that information to not even throw the skill shot and just help zone a little bit of CS, or at least get them off their game.
If you start, I mean, if you're like, to use the support example, if you're just camping in the brush during laning, and they know you're there, the moment they see you, they're going to back away because they're just going to assume that you have a skill shot coming in, and that's good. Like you're planning to make a play there. So that's where recklessly throwing a skill shot around can actually come into play, because you're always going to keep them on guard. To what DeClaude said, it does give you the option to start zoning them and just move in closer and sort of make them start second guessing their own decisions. And sometimes if you just move and don't act, because they have to like react in a very cautious manner, like in a very calculated manner, that can give you even just a little bit of a window of opportunity. But I mean, it's all mind games at the stage.
Exactly. You can give them the boy who cried wolf kind of thing, cry wolf a couple times, but don't actually throw the skill shot, and then bam, hit them with it when they least expect it. But here's the thing about recklessly throwing skill shots. I get the idea behind that, and that's good when you have a lot of minions in your wave. But when you do finally throw that skill shot, they know it's on cooldown for a certain amount of time, so they have a window of freedom. Mm-hmm. When you're holding on to it, that threat's there, and they have to worry about it.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I miss plenty of skill shots. I'm not saying every skill shot that I miss is something that I've intentionally missed.
Right. And
but there are times where
champion,
it's like I'm making a calculated move to throw an early skill shot or two just to screw with their heads, and make them think I'm really bad at landing those skill shots. So then they start getting aggressive, and I can turn that into something meaningful later on.
You're a clever bastard, Dom. I like it. With Ziggs, I'll do that. I'll try to hold my skill shots, but most of the time I'm getting my ass kicked in mid, so I got to stay back and use them to farm. So
once you start playing it, it's really hard to trade effectively in lane. Once you get up higher and you're playing like the high gold, plat, diamond level, I've noticed that it's all decided at level 2 or 3, and everything, all the tips and tricks we're giving, because it depends. Well, it depends on what type of player you are and the lane you're playing and everything. But if we're talking 2v2 and landing skill shots, it really is decided at 2 or 3. Unless you have a jungler come and help you. So keep that in mind. If we're giving these tips and they're not working for you, you may be at a point in the game that the tricks need to be played, I guess, played out differently, because one mistake can make you lose that lane. So if you've walked out of position, like DeClaude said, and they've now capitalized on it, if you've shot off a skill shot, like Dominic said, and they've capitalized on it, that it can completely turn everything around. So these are just little tips and tricks that you can use don't use them all in one game is what I'm trying to say. Use one, try it, see if it works for you, and then adapt it to your play style.
And even though Adam said that the jungler can come make a difference, you can't count on them for being able to completely change the course of your game. And if the enemy duo is able to somehow get control of the lane, it's very possible that jungler coming down could end up turning the fight around in a bad way if the enemy jungler shows up and they end up beating you out or something like that. The jungler can help, but sometimes the jungler's not going to be able to do anything.
Right. Yeah, there's always what's if in League of Legends. It's really hard to discuss.
I mean, it just gets conditional at a certain point. I mean,
if you're practicing these mind games and practicing trying to solve this equation, just keep an eye on your mana bar, because skill shots will run you dry.
Yep.
If you keep harassing with them.
Yeah.
And that's the point when the jungler comes down and tries to help, but you have no mana to turn it around, so that 3v2 becomes 3 kills for the enemy player because your ADC doesn't have any mana.
You'll need to hold on to some.
Granting that I haven't been playing as much lately as I had been, 6 months ago or whatever, it feels like every time, like I'm not getting a lot of jungle attention anymore, and every time the jungler shows up, it's when my partner and I are already depleted. I can't remember. It feels like it's been forever since the last time I got just a good gank that everybody just a good gank for my side. It feels like everything has been it's just, and it's not the jungler's fault. I'm not blaming the jungler either. Like there are so many. It's just conditional game to game, and it just sort of is one of those I'm just on a slump as far as those things go.
I can't remember the last time we won a bottom lane, Dom.
Oh, dude, you and I are on a major losing streak right now. I can't remember the last time you and I won a game.
The other day it was like 14 minutes in, and you guys we've been begging you to come bot the whole game. Like, I wouldn't have been able to make a difference without Flash.
And we know. Anyway. It was just, at that point, we were just frustrated. No, you and I are on a major slump right now.
It's really bad. I was just thinking about that. I don't think I've won a game with these guys in probably 2 months.
It's been more recent than that, but if you said 2 weeks, that's
that's
very accurate.
Yes. All right, well, we'll go ahead and move on to John's question. Thank you, Bluzz Fiddler, for writing in. John writes in, how do I convince my teammates not to chase through the jungle?
How the expletive.
Yep, there you go.
How the expletive do I convince my teammates not to chase through the jungle? Well, John, you don't.
Coming off a bad game, John?
You're I mean, if it's guys you're in chat with, or in voice chat with, say, hey, don't chase them through the jungle. But even last night, sometimes you tunnel, so you think you can get something, and
do back pings and hope he listens.
It's one of those things where you're trying to force your will on things that are outside your control. Don't worry about telling your teammates what to do.
Yeah, and don't go in there thinking, oh, man, and then, I died because he baited me in there because I tried to save him. Don't try to save him. Let him die.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to let them die. Let them die and go do your own thing. When they bitch at you, mute them.
One dead's better than 2 dead.
So. We've said this 1,000 times. That what is it we say? or Dom says, you cannot impose your will on anybody else or whatever the team, in the rift on your team. You just have to play for yourself. And if you're in voice chat, you can scream, "Hey, DeClaude, don't fucking chase that guy!" Da, da, da. You know, I mean, that's all you can do. And then if DeClaude listens, he listens.
You can't bank on somebody like that not to chase what matters. You just can't bank on that.
And in those situations, like, what's more likely to happen by you giving that type of order, what's more likely to happen is you're going to get into a fight with somebody. And when your team starts fighting among themselves in chat, they are paying less attention to everything else going on in the game. And by virtue of that, you put yourself at an incredible disadvantage, more than what already happened if your teammate got ambushed for chasing somebody through the jungle.
Something I wanted to say last night, but was too engrossed in the argument to say that I did wrong the first time that I argued with somebody. Quit arguing, because all he's doing is spending his time. You know what? What was something I was on to yell about last night. If you're yelling at somebody in game, and I definitely have done this, do it, probably will do it in the future. But I've been really trying to keep mind of arguing with somebody on my team rather than arguing with somebody on the enemy team. Like, I don't mind so much arguing with the enemy team, but if you're arguing with somebody on your team, they're spending more time paying attention to the conversation and being right than they are doing the right thing in the game.
Trying to convince you of their point, yeah. And you know what? It's when you're in a game that's kind of fast-paced, you don't have time for that bullshit. So, and you know what? Spazzy kind of backs me up in his last video where he was talking about going on tilt. I looked at him like, wow, he's saying everything pretty much that we preach. You know, he says mute the people so you don't go on tilt yourself, but you can still type to them. You're just not interested to see what they have to type in return. So you can still give advice, but mute.
That's the thing. I mute the opponent team partly because I don't want to hear any of the trash talk coming my way. But the other part is I also don't want to see the bullshit that my team gets into with them. Because even if it can be funny sometimes, more often than not, it ends up being distracting. So one of two things ends up happening to you. Either you focus on the conversation and thus you lose attention on everything else going around you, or you stop paying attention to all chat and you actually end up missing meaningful information coming your way. So by turning off the all chat side of things, at the very least you can gain some attention to like the information that gets shared between the rest of your team.
I would actually like to see the math behind how many times somebody dies based on typing. If they die while they're typing. Because I bet that's like a third of my deaths.
This beer is terrible, guys. It tastes like metal.
Should drink tequila.
I have some in the other room, but
what is that beer? Labatt's?
Labatt Blue Royale Light.
I've never heard of that.
That can't be good.
It was $6.99 a 12.
Well, it doesn't look like we're getting sponsored by Labatt anytime soon.
Yeah, it's not good. Wow. It's a light Canadian style lager, and it tastes like metal, and it's in a blue. Yeah, anyway,
that should have been your first red flag.
Alberto writes in. Alberto, I'm skipping your question. I actually had another question up here, so we're going to talk about Alberto's because I accidentally closed it. I had a really good one about supports.
Oh, you closed the doc?
No, I have the doc open. Oh, it's right here. All right. Actual question. Any tips for new support players when it comes to warding, trading, or staying alive as a support in lane? Some games, it's just my support is too aggressive and gets killed. Other games, he plays very passively and stays next to me or even behind me. We both get wrecked.
Well, so, if it's a new player, you have to keep in mind that he or she is learning the both the ropes and his or her own personal comfort zone with and just the nuances of champions and everything. So there are times where you're just gonna play more passive or play more aggressive based on what you think the champion is supposed to do. And until you really understand the way everything is supposed to work, you're going to see a lot of fluctuations in the gas, so to speak. My Zyra was a really good example of that and everything. When I first started, I was playing way too aggressive for somebody I didn't understand, and it took I needed to just go all the way back to the beginning and start picking it apart concept by concept and then putting it all together.
From an overall standpoint of supports, warding. Number one is warding, keeping what you need warded. If it's just your lane, If it's just warding a tri-bush, if it's warding river, if it's warding dragons, warding the bushes in your lane, and understanding, after you've warded, you need to understand when your comp is powerful. If you're playing into a Blitzcrank, as soon as he hits level 2, level 6, level 7, he's going to have an advantage over you, depending on if you're playing like a Janna. If you're playing like Janna Vayne or something, yes, Janna Vayne can trade very well, but not if Blitzcrank's pulling you into the turret and away from the team. There's no way to stop that from happening. And now you're on the back foot taking damage as you're trying to run away to be able to do damage. So I would say, coming from a support standpoint, is really just understanding where to ward first and foremost, and understanding why you're warding there. Because I don't think a lot of people understand why they
and when to ward.
Right.
Level
So
1.
I can actually extrapolate on that. So, like, in the early stages of the game, the big places to ward are one of the 2 entrances from river, whether that's tri-brush or the brush that's in river itself, and one of the 2 lane brushes. And in both cases, you kind of have to feel out what's going on. If your team keeps pushing up further and further, then the wards kind of just whatever's going to give you the more whatever's going to acknowledge the more immediate threat. Mm-hmm. That's where you want to have your wards. As the game goes on, you sort of need to start figuring out where the different key vision points are. Any area that offers some kind of like crossroads where an opponent can choose 4 different directions that the opponent could go, those are great places for wards. Right by the Ancient Golem, for example, or the right by the Wraith Camp as well. These are 2 great crossroads. Right in river, that brush right in the middle of river, kind of near Dragon Pit, that's a pretty good spot too. Like, it doesn't give you vision on Dragon itself, but it's going to give you vision whether they're going into your jungle, their jungle, mid lane, or towards bottom lane. I mean, those are great sources of information for your team that, like, even if it's not 100% optimal, it's like 85% useful in every situation.
And as we've said before, if you have the ability to buy a pink ward and you haven't placed one yet, do it, because you can only have 1 per person on the map.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get baited by your pink ward either.
Right.
I'll do that. I did that before. You see your pink ward, you're like, I just placed it, and then you're out of position, and they're in a position to kill it. Don't go, oh my god, I got to defend it with everything I have, and then die.
They're spending 5 seconds killing it.
Yep.
There's a piece of this question that I didn't bring up. His friend, at the time of this email, which was just last week, he was level 26, and so he still is learning and understanding the game. Dude, go watch the Journey to 30. If you have a friend that is brand new, go send him to that, because
it's an awesome show.
They've made a piece for each role so far, or they're on the last role at this point in time. But with that said, you need to sit him down and say, all right, we're going in lane. We're going in lane as Twitch Karma. That's just, that's the last team or the last ADC support I played. You need to tell him, you now need to play aggressive early, and so you need to try to poke and do some damage while keeping yourself safe. And if that's all he practices on, if it's even a brand new support at level 30, if that's all they practice on is doing damage and keeping poke down, the AD carry can try to make up for the fact that there aren't wards there. It puts the AD carry a little bit behind, but you're teaching that player how to play, and you go in understanding you will or could lose the game, because you're teaching this person how to play. But as you continue to do that, and as he picks it up, he's going to start going, okay, I understand how to poke, I understand how to engage, I understand how to do this. What should I work on now? Well, maybe you should work on warding. Maybe you should work on positioning in lane. Maybe you should work on your roaming in mid game. Maybe you should work on protecting the AD carry in team fights. And you see how, as we continue, the tree gets larger and larger and larger with what supports need to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a case where, on a game-by-game basis, you need to focus on understanding one thing really well. And once you understand that one thing, start merging that with other ideas that you have previously learned, to the point where everything just kind of becomes instinct for you. And instead of having to focus on one thing or another, it really ends up being a case where you just respond the way that you need to. And that's just how you condition yourself to really play any role, but definitely playing support.
And you'll learn matchups. You'll know which enemy supports or even marksmen you need to be within the minions so you can avoid harass or out of line of sight. You'll know which path to take to get to a certain area to ward that's gives you the least chance of getting killed or get. You'll learn how to step ward. But the first thing, you said he's a new player. I would say just practice the basics. Learn how to be aware of yourself, the enemy minions, your minions, and the enemy champions. Just know where they're at and how to keep yourself out of harm's way. Learn how to move properly, left click, right click, using your hotkeys for your inventory items. Your 4 is always going to be your trinket ward, getting used to that or whatever you have in that slot. So master that first before you start trying to think of all the crazy stuff. And like Adam and Dom were saying, master one thing at a time.
It's so easy in this game to go beyond, because it's so easy for us as podcast hosts, and really most recently we've been, I don't want to use pandering, but we've been talking to a lot of the lower level players or the less skilled players. That's people who have been writing us and really want tips. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's very easy for us who have played 3,000, 4,000 games, if not more, go, well, it should be second nature to ward dragon all the time. It should be second nature to, press tab. And it's easy for us to forget that. So as we give you this advice, keep in mind that something that's second nature to you may not be second nature to the person that's playing that role.
And more than anything else, play champions because they're fun. Don't pick somebody just because it's OP or the flavor of the month pick or whatever, especially if you hate playing that champion just because, like, if you're learning the ropes. It's different. It's a different story if you get to the upper level where sometimes a champion you don't like playing is the right call for the comp. Then you suck it up and you do that for your team. But at the early stages of the game, when you're leveling, when you're learning how to play champions that if you think are fun, because there's no better way to lose interest in the game or to burn out than to play champions you don't have interest in playing.
That's the number one point right there. We're all here to play a game and have fun.
Now there are going to be cases where, like, if Braum is your favorite champion, well, you should probably find a second favorite then too, because odds are good that Braum is going to be banned, and if he's not banned, there's a fair chance he's going to get picked before you get the chance to select him.
But still play him in non-ranked. Still play him just so you master him. So when he is available, you can pick him and do really well and have just a grand time.
You should take your friend, take your buddy. If you're out there, you're Plat 3, go watch a stream if you're trying to get better. Go watch a Challenger. Go watch Crepo. I think Crepo is one of the better streamers out there because if he's doing commentary, he's explaining why he's doing what he is. He's having fun while he's doing it, so you can understand that you can explain the game and have fun while you're playing. And, I don't know any of that. Night Blue used to be good. I think he's gone downhill a little bit. And don't watch Trick. Please don't watch Trick stream because he's not going to teach you how to get better. He's going to teach you to be too selfish.
It's hilarious that you say that because a few weeks ago there was an article talking about those two people's play style and how certain people pick the I'm going to carry the entire time like Trick does play style, or I'm going to support my team no matter what like Night Blue's play style. So
I mean, there are merits to both styles. I think you just need to understand when the one is going to fall apart, and you need to abandon that idea for the sake of your team, one way or the other. But like if your team is just struggling while you're AFK farming for 30 minutes in top lane, congratulations. You are actually part of the reason that your team lost because you weren't contributing in any meaningful way.
Hello, Nasus from last night arguing with us anyway. Yeah, like, don't, that's probably one of the big things. Like, if you find a character that's fun to play and you suddenly think Nasus is the most fun to play or Singed, you have to realize when you are being toxic when you're playing those champions, because sitting 30 minutes in top lane farming with 400, 500 CS doesn't do anything if you're not team fighting without that, with those stacks or whatever it is. But yeah, I think we've spent long enough on this question, and it's time to
move on
to the next one.
The guy playing Nasus was clearly trying to be Zion Spartan 2.0, so
because that worked out well for him. Daniel, or
they won that game.
They won.
All right, quit dogging this guy. Let's move on.
There is an okay, so his in-game name is Goddammit Declawed.
Oh yeah,
I shit you not. He said IGN Goddammit Declawed. So
that was the Nasus.
No, this is. I haven't forwarded the question to you.
Oh, this is the one who asked the question.
Yes, this is a new question. His in-game name is Goddammit Declawed.
I wonder if that's just a coincidence.
How do you?
It's just how you spell it.
No, he's in my. He added me.
Goddammit DAMMIT Declawed.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you. That's awesome. I love
spelled
it.
damn it the correct way as opposed to one word. Yep, there it is.
So I'm going to read his long question. I have a friend who is considerably better than I am, and I play with him so he can rage at me and tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can fix it. Well, at least you're trying to get better. Doing this for specific advice and listening to you guys for general advice to tell me. Recently, my friend told me that what's holding me back right now is a lack of game sense. I've played around 1,500 games and still don't really understand specifically what game sense is. I was hoping you guys could help define it and give me ways to improve it.
Ah, the good old game sense.
I mean, so ultimately, game sense is your understanding of what to do after you accomplish your immediate focus. So if your immediate focus is winning a team fight, part of game sense, like really what game sense is understanding what to do next after that, whether it's take dragon, take a tower, regroup because you barely won that team fight, or aggressively warding the enemy jungle, all these types of things. I mean, these are all things that play into your game sense.
And another piece of this is like that feeling, that spider sense of, oh, this is that time that so-and-so is probably going to gank me, but I'm still going to go aggro on so-and-so, and then bam, they show up and you die. You didn't pay attention to your game sense.
To use an example from the LCS games, Dexter sat in Riverbrush forever, waiting for an opportunity to gank Quas, and Quas never really got into position. Yeah, Quas just like he knew. He knew. I know, but like that was what some part of their strategy was hinging on, was getting double lift really heavily fed. And Quas just, like, he knew not to go past a certain point or he would get jumped on and murdered. And, like, it's just those little things, having, the spider sense.
Yeah, and if you generally say that your game sense is wrong, then that means you're probably resisting some kind of little voice inside you that's saying, back off. Maybe you're here too long, or maybe we should be pushing this turret instead of backing for that, or going for that juicy giant red wave we see on bottom or top.
If you have the gut feeling that you should probably back, you should probably back. It's
listen to yourself.
Yeah, it's that one thing you don't want to psych yourself out by.
The biggest piece of all of this is probably your map awareness sucks. You could tell me it's good, but if you don't have the game sense, it's because you haven't been staring at the map for 1,500 games, because if you only stare at the map for 1,500 games, you're going to have a sense of where everybody moves at whatever point in the game it is, because you're going to have a sense if all you're doing, let's pretend for 1,500 games, all you do is stare at the map. You're going to watch players and move and what their thing is, or, and instead of glancing at the map, you're glancing at the time. Okay, 11 minutes, my jungler is here, this is here. 12 minutes is here, and that's all I'm doing. I'm going back and forth. Now, I'm not telling you to do that, but if that's what you were to do, you would have a better understanding of how game sense works. So now my advice is pay more attention to the mini map and the time.
So, and here's a big thing. A lot of people these days, a lot of you spoiled brats out there have these giant monitors, all right, and you're sitting too close to them, so you can't really have good map awareness with your periphery. Sit back a little bit. Scoot your keyboard back. Move your monitor back against the wall, because you're not a poor bastard like me with my little 17-inch. And then you have the periphery, and it improves your map awareness.
No, it's just a story. So long, way back when, I was leveling, when I was just trying to get, when I had just gotten to 30, I was playing with a guy who only knew how to play Katarina, and he only knew how to play Katarina because Katarina required no resource management on his part. If he was out of resources, it meant he was dead, and that was, that he understood that. When he tried to play champions with mana, he didn't know how to do it because he would blow through his entire mana pool and then not know what to do with himself. Anyway, so he was, I don't even remember if he was playing Cat or he was trying to learn somebody else, but he was top lane, and there was a ward in Riverbrush, and a very, very, very obvious gank was happening, and anybody who would have even looked at that minimap would have known to, they needed to get out of there because they were going to die. And this guy, he died, and he's like, what the hell, why didn't anybody call an MIA? And it's like, yeah, that happened, but also, there was a ward. You should have known you were getting ganked, man. You had a lot of time to get out of there, and we all kind of thought you would just see the opponent. So I guess it's our bad, but it's really also your bad for not looking at your mini-map at all. Oh, good times.
Good point. But you know what? I like his thinking. He knows he's bad at resource management, so he's going to pick or Garen or.
His problem is Cat clicked for him. And then, so from level 5 through level 30, he only played Katarina. And for the longest time, he ran heal and flash. And this was back when heal had no movement speed steroid. It was an AoE thing, and it really wasn't that good of a summoner. He was
You
taking
should've-
that because it let him dive and then get out of trouble. And we're like, yeah, but if you would take Ignite, in a lot of cases, you probably wouldn't have to dive to begin with.
You
And
should have
then
told him to play Garen top so he could be resourceless in 2 lanes.
Garen didn't have the same type of murder power.
So I don't really have anything for. I was gonna think a good thing with game sense is also understanding how long 5 or 6 minutes is. That might just be a real life sense. You don't understand how long time takes to pass because you know what? Here's a good one. Here's a good way to play it in game because I don't know how to tell somebody to figure out how 5 minutes passes. But if you're playing with like Baron, you understand that Baron you have Baron for 3 minutes and Baron spawns in 7 minutes, so there's a 4-minute window. I got that right. It's 3 with a 4-minute window, or is it 4 with a 3-minute window?
You're talking
I
about
wasn't paying
Dragon.
attention to what you said.
Baron. How long does Baron buff last?
5 minutes.
You said it spawns at 7 minutes. You mean every 7 minutes?
Every 7 minutes
Right.
it spawns. So you have 5 minutes with Baron and then 2 minutes without Baron, right? I said 3 minutes before. Come on, somebody give me the goddamn timer. We should know this.
I'm looking up. I want to be sure, but I think it's 5.
What's your point, Adam?
My point is no. Well, no.
4
I
minutes.
ruined
It
my
lasts
point.
4 minutes.
Okay,
You
I
know,
said,
he's
I
gonna
said it
go
right
off
the
on
Watch
this
first
the
time.
little purple
I
thing
said
and
it
watch
right
the
the
little thing
goddamn
you
first
He's
He's
gonna
time.
go off on this rant. And he's not even gonna have that strong of a point.
No, my whole point is, you know it spawns every 7 minutes, so you've just spent 4 minutes with the buff. Now you have 3 minutes left. Pay attention to the 3 minutes that you have left after you watch that buff drop. I can't believe we just went through all that. I feel like everything I've ever talked about this entire episode has been completely discredited because I couldn't tell you how long that Baron lasted.
But you know what? Just hit the tab key and you'll be fine.
There you go. God, the game just got easier with that.
Just hit the tab key.
This game is
and look for the
hard.
big purple counter.
I'm going back
counting
to WoW with DMB.
We're very good at this game, guys. We're very good. We know the buff durations and everything.
Well, they've you know, they've changed a bunch of stuff. We can't keep all the constants on lockdown, right? I wish you could see my face for that.
I wish you could see my face.
Your
I'm
face
so
went-
hot in this room.
There is nothing but disappointment between all of us after that. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, why do we get to do this? So we're
Well,
to it.
You know what? So, to
Next
wrap it up
question.
for that question, take Scavenger and you will earn game sense.
You know what that's like, DeClaude?
No, what's it like?
That's like a 10-cent hooker with no job. It doesn't make any sense.
Wow. Do I have to show you my paradigm shift picture with the 2 dimes on the shift key?
No, come on, that was good. I've been saving that one for like 30
You know what?
episodes.
Do you guys
You know
know
what?
how much you enrich my life?
Everybody's heard that pun like
Sarcasm.
since the start of
I
time.
love that one. That's my favorite pun ever. 10-cent hooker with no job.
You mean a fisherman? What's a hooker?
What? Fisherman, hooker. What? We catch a grouper here?
Oh God, please.
Are you allowed mouth bass?
Grouper.
Stop.
All right, you're floundering. Let's move on.
Oh my God.
All right, everybody, catch your breath. We're going back in. So we're gonna end this show with a funny question because it's already off the rails. How long did it take each of you to climb out of your original placements? I heard Pones say he played like 500 games to move from his respective rank. I didn't play 500 games. Can you
Dylan,
vent,
Season
Rank.
3.
can you vent your frustration? Let the rest of us scrubs know we are not alone. Well, I'll let you know in season 3, I played all of 25 games to make it to Plat 3, and then I am down to Plat 4 because I haven't played the game in like
That's season
2
4.
months. Or season
Season
4.
4.
Season 3, I played 300 games to make it to Plat 5.
Let's see. Season 3, I went from Gold 5 to Gold 1 in about 30-something games, and then I played like 100 total for the season and stayed in Gold 1. Season 4, I got placed in Gold 3, and I'm still in Gold 3 because Platinum hates me.
If I'm unranked in season 4. I haven't bothered playing it at all. If I played 50 solo queue games in season 3, I'd be shocked.
I played. I placed in Silver 5 in season 3. I started in September, and then I made the race and I hit Platinum 5 pretty much by the end of the season, around October, November.
Which is crazy, by the way. That was awesome.
Yeah,
Great job.
it was a good push on season 3, and the champions that I like to play,
That's
they
probably my
weren't the meta, but they worked.
that's
for
probably my
me
favorite
then.
story that I made Plat with like an hour and a half of you making Plat.
Yep.
Yeah, I know, we were right there. Like I woke up in the morning, ugh, All right, let me do some games, see if I can get out of gold 1. Plat! Announce it. And then later on in the day, I see Adam hit plat. Like,
Yeah.
sweet.
I haven't made a push in season 4. Well, to answer your question here, Lord Drosy, we are not amazing players by any means. However, with the game sense and the number of times we've been able to talk about it, we aren't spending 500-600 games to pull ourselves out of a single division. Like Sean said, he probably played 30 games, making it gold 1, and has probably played another 100, 150 since to try to get to plat. Whatever reason, he just
and I play like fun champions. Like I've played more games as Olaf this season than any other character. Olaf and Udyr, and just done what I feel like doing. Like it's a game. Have fun with it.
I played maybe 25, 30 games to get to Plat 3 total. I placed in Plat 5, and then I haven't played since then, so I haven't really played that many games this season. If I was to push the Diamond, I bet I got to play. If I was to push the Diamond right now from Plat 4, I would guess 150 games for me to hit Diamond. Depending on win streaks and just what happens. I'm rusty, but I would suspect.
Well, you'd also have to devote a
that's-
lot of time to playing.
I can see
that went without saying.
I can see you reaching your goals if you put your mind to it, and you got in that mindset where season 3, where Dom set you down and calmed you down and changed your outlook a little bit. All of a sudden, boom, you hit plat, and I think you have the game sense and you have the mechanical sense to do it.
Well, it's one of those things. It's kind of like kind of a spoiler alert. Days Untold is going to stream on the T-Force channel during nights when the podcast isn't on.
That's kind of ironic.
She's going to Diamond. She's going for Diamond.
Watch Days at night.
Days at night, yeah.
I hope that's what they call it, and it becomes a thing.
Oh yeah, she cut Days at night.
Days at night.
But it was here. Optimus Thomas here. It took me 25 games to hit Plat 5 promos, and then 175 more games just to get back to Gold 2. So it really can matter. It's not like you got the pros. Their skill and their game sense is just leaps and bounds and years. And they also have the time to devote to it. So even if they lose 4 or 5 games in a row, they can keep playing for another 8 hours and really push them farther. So when you have people like us who sit down and can only play for 3 hours a night, we can only hope for 3 or 4 games a night. So it may feel like it's a giant slog and grind, but it's because you're not putting in 8 hours at a time to play this game.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done my provision games because I don't care to. Until this point, they announced the end of season rewards, so now I'm like, it's Morgana, of course, it's a champion that I actually play and would be interested in having the skin. Now I have to decide, do I want to sit down and do the grind for this and everything? Do I want to devote the effort?
Yes, you do, Dom. Do it.
I don't.
For the fans, if anything, for the listeners. For me, I want to see you with that skin. I want to lane with Black Alistar and Victorious Morgana.
I want to throw my beer bottle. That's what I want to do. Like I just.
Right, Syndra. Yeah. Again, this season I placed in silver 4, silver 3. I'm back up to gold 2. I made it to gold 1 plat promos like Sean did probably about 5 times, and then I dropped to gold 3.
I've hit
gold 2.
plat promos like
I hit so many
away.
streaks. But what I would do is I would get it in my brain that I only have this time to do it, so I'm going to push, even though my MS starts acting up and my hand becomes useless. I got to scoop my middle finger over to the side of my mouse and use one finger for both left and right. But I want to keep playing, and I'm sorry to the people who got stuck in.
And I've probably told this story before. It was really funny. We were playing with my brother one time. And after a game, he's like, I don't understand how Claude keeps getting hit by so many skill shots, but he's still like, in fact, I think this was during season 3 and you were playing. He's like, but he's still a plat player. I'm like, well, he has MS, so every now and then, like, his hand doesn't, his hand
doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And he's like, oh, I can't believe he's plat, whatever with MS. That explains so much. That's amazing.
Yeah, that actually
mechanics keep me back.
That brings up an important point. If you're not in the mood, or you're not feeling that great, or you feel like you want to keep playing, but you feel like something you shouldn't keep playing, don't play ranked. You can play any other game mode. If you're not like feeling optimal for the situation to continue your climb up the ladder.
Yeah, one of the most fun times, like, I'm considering taking another week off. Like, I did it in November last year where I did that grind, and I'm like, I was going to hit plat 5, and I didn't do it at the end of that week. But I think I'm going to do it again just to get up early and stream for you guys and have fun for a week. And, like, I don't care what rank I get. But, like, that type of thing where if you're having fun playing, even if you're streaming to your best friend, You don't have to stream. I'm not telling you to stream, but if that's what gets you up and gets you out of bed to play this game and makes you feel better, do what makes you play the game the best of your ability.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah. Do you want to duo together? Take a week.
Yeah. I have Thursday and Fridays off at the moment. You want to get really angry at each other and just
yes, let's do
games?
it. I'm gonna take some days off. It has to be at the end of September. We're doing it.
I couldn't do that. I have 2 throwaway vacation days left.
Let's do it. Let's play threes. Let's do it for like 2 days in a row. Just play threes.
I would do threes.
Yes.
If we wanna, we'll have to sit down, and it'll have like. There are some scheduling conflicts, but if we want to pick 2 days around a weekend,
end of September, early October.
If we want to pick 2 days around a weekend, or like a Monday, well, if Chira has, what do you have, Thursday, Fridays off?
at the moment, yeah.
All right, so guys, you heard it here first. Sometime in September, October, we're gonna play like 3 days of 8 hours of threes, and we're gonna make Dob gold.
And I'm gonna troll Adam the whole time.
All right, guys, that's enough. We're done with episode 189. We've been off the rails for 15 minutes and just talking, having fun. Sorry that it went that way, but hey, you listen to us because you have fun and laughing with us. So,
and I hope we answered your questions at least. We tried to bring it around. So for the people who wrote in, thank you very much, and everyone else, please write in.
Episode 189. There's no to Claude. I'm going to try to bring on a special guest for that episode. I know it's
190.
Or 190. One last piece, Columbus 190. We'll have the final details on it. Sean and I are going to kick that out tomorrow.
You keep saying you're like
shut up.
All right.
Shut up!
I'll shut up. It's fine.
Let him finish.
Sean and I are going to kick out the details finally. That is not a Worlds viewing party. I've had people email me. We are not watching Worlds together. I want to watch Worlds together with all you guys. I want to have like 40 people together and we all just watch Worlds. However, we don't have a place to do it.
We don't have the space. I can't fit more than the people I have in my apartment because everybody would be sweating so much and stabbing each other in the fucking throat because it'd just be
there's
a
an
giant
off
shit
chance
show.
the floor would give underway.
That true. And it's scary in my basement. You don't want to go down there.
So anyway, it's not a Worlds viewing power. However, in Columbus, Ohio, the weekend of Worlds, we are meeting up at Elevator Brewing Company. Time has come on the 190. We're going to meet up in the middle of the day at Elevator Brewing Company. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk. We'll bring a laptop. We'll stream some League. We'll talk about it. We might even do a fun impromptu podcast. So you guys can ask us questions. We'll talk about it. I mean, we'll figure it out as we go. Just show up, Columbus, Ohio, Elevator Brewing Company. The time will be on the 190, and that's it. That's episode 189.
And you'll be able to watch Worlds together with them.
Fuck you. Episode 189 of the podcast
troll. God damn it.
is done. Guys, we will see you all next week. Peace.
Bye,
Love
guys.
you. Bye.